So, I've been playing a lot of Battleborn in the closed test, in the early access, in the open beta, and finally in the live version of the game. I like to think I have a pretty good grasp on the game, what needs to happen in a match, but it feels like a lot of people are just running around with their heads cut off, not knowing what to do. I'm going to explain some of the nuances of Meltdown today and how to go about handling a typical match. Meltdown, and by extension Battleborn itself, should not be handled in a purely FPS manner. You need to treat a match like you would a game of League of Legends or Dota or Smite. The difference is that Battleborn is more action-oriented than those games. Instead of having to farm minions for 15 minutes, you can just launch straight into the action, which is awesome. Unfortunately, people feel like there's a need to just immediately turn things into a deathmatch because the game is from the first person and is a first-person shooter, and that's not really how the game is meant to be played, at least Meltdown and Incursion aren't. One of the biggest mistakes I see people do is get way too aggressive at times they should be not aggressive at all. I see people leaping into 1v3 situations all the time, and this is not a game where you will be able to skill your way to victory 100% of the time. I'm not saying that skill is not a factor in Battleborn, because it absolutely is. But I don't care if you're the best El Dragon player in the world, you're probably not going to win a 1 vs 3 fight against people who know what they are doing or are paying attention. Here's an example. Miko has pushed up by himself onto our side of the map. Miko is pretty squishy, and while he is a fast character and can heal himself, this is not really the place you want to be as Miko, because if you're caught by somebody else, you're just gonna die. He is just barely able to escape us because of a minion blocking the way. However, he did this exact same thing earlier and died. Here's a clip of me killing Arendi. Arendi doesn't realize she should give it up until it is way too late and ends up dying to me. Here's another clip. I'm playing Isaac again and I get to my lane. The first thing I want to do is assess the situation. I want to see how many people I have versus how many people they have, not only how many, but what characters. As soon as I know who is around, I take it from there. In this case, there is an enemy Reyna and Wrath to my Isaac, Miko, and Shane. I did not even realize there was a Wrath there until he died, but it's pretty safe to say that the composition of Wrath and Reyna is not going to beat Shane, Miko, and Isaac. So, knowing that, my side can be more aggressive while the other side needs to back off. Instead, Wrath just dives in and dies to minions and Shane. Arendi comes in a little late, but it really doesn't matter by then. Here's another example. I approach the lane and I'm by myself against Galilea and Wrath. I am not going to win that fight, so I back off and work on killing minions instead of trying to fight them. The situation is assessed, and I take action on what I'll be able to do best in that situation, in this case, killing minions. I do not try to 2v1 them, I just kill minions and otherwise poke at their stuff. Once a lane is completely clear, that is when you can roam the map looking for a fight. So basically, when you get to your lane, assess the situation. If you're a Montana against a Marquis and an Oscar Mike, maybe just don't jump into the middle of the lane because you're going to get killed really quickly. Figure out the weaknesses of your character, and if people are in your lane who can abuse those weaknesses, figure out a new plan. Don't just dive bomb in there and expect your team to follow, especially if you're in solo queue. If you want them to follow you, then at least let them know on the microphone and say that you're going in. But if you're jumping into a sea of enemies, don't expect anyone to follow. While deaths early on don't really mean much in terms of map control and game swing, you're just feeding the enemy team easy experience, which means they get to level up more than you do, which means they get to become more powerful, and that's not good for you. A lot of people tend to fail to realize how weak or strong they actually are. Here's a clip where Benedict flies away at low health, which is a smart thing to do, only to fly right back into the fight to get killed really quickly. Press down on the D-pad or hit B if you're playing on PC to go back to your base and heal. Please, I beg you, go heal. Another thing with fighting is that people will overextend way too far into enemy territory, like that Miko clip I showed you earlier. Look, I get that the enemy is only 100 health and you're trying to kill them, I get it. But if I see you by our healing station and our thumper turret is alive, which slows you if you're hit by its rockets, guess where I'm going? I'm going to the healing station to kill you. You cannot overextend like that by yourself because while you might get the kill, you'll probably kill yourself in the process. Here's a clip where Thorn is trying to kill our thumper turret. That's an admirable objective, but Thorn is in no position to even attempt to do this and dies because of it. Forcing someone out of their lane is already good enough, because that means you can kill their minion wave super easy, get your minions into the feeder, and can start gaining the upper hand. Speaking of which, in Meltdown, minions are the most important thing. It is literally how you win the game, by getting your minions into your feeders. I've had so many games where a team will stack 5 people on one side and will completely ignore the other side. The other team will put 4 on the same side and leave one person to just kill minions on the ignored side. This move will single-handedly win games. If you ever find yourself in this situation where you're alone killing minions, as long as your team isn't getting absolutely crushed, then keep doing it. Clear the minion wave, go to the other side with all the action, then as soon as the wave is back, go back to that side and kill the minions. If you are not killing minions at some point in a match, then you are doing something wrong. Team fights are important to the game, but only if it's helping you gain map control. Otherwise, kill those minions before you start a team fight. If you do great single target damage, focus the Shepherd first. Minions actually do a lot of damage to enemy players, so if people are trying to fight you and there's a full minion wave there, that's only good news for you. Yes, you can win games of Meltdown even if you have fewer kills than the other team. No, your kill-death ratio really doesn't matter. That being said, the way the game calculates score is in the following way. 2 points for a kill, 1 point for an assist. This is fine, except for the fact that literally nothing else matters for score, despite the fact that score has no impact on the game unless in the event of a tie. Something really needs to be done about the scoring so that things like minion kills and probably healing are also a factor in score. People have this mentality that if they have a high score, then they did the best, even if they have barely any minion kills. The creative director of the game knows this is an issue, and their team is working on something to try to get some changes going with the scoring system, which is good. Next up, utilize your minimap. Your minimap is going to tell you a ton of information: where the enemy team is, when minion waves are approaching, if the enemy has an elite minion coming, or if they have their turrets up, where shards are, so many things. Being able to read the minimap quickly enables you to spend your time wisely. Simply glance at your minimap every so often to get a better feel for what you should be doing. If you see an area of the map that's completely dead with a bunch of minions fighting, head over there and wipe them out. Finally, shards. Shards spawn 2 minutes into a match and every 2 minutes after they are killed. Shards are very important to buy buildables with and to upgrade yourself. However, you should focus on buying buildables over upgrading yourself in a game. A turret can swing a lane heavily in your favor by dealing extra damage to the enemy minions or enemy team. Turrets can win games. If you find that everyone is on one side of the map, buy the turret on the other side of the map to make sure that your minions will always beat the other teams. So, in short, assess your situations better, don't overextend, and don't treat the game like a pure first-person shooter. Treat the game more like a fast MOBA. It's slower than a shooter, but faster than your typical MOBA experience. Killing minions is beyond vital to success. Guiding your own minions is nice, but I'll take someone on my team who can at least kill minions. Also, know what you are capable of. Realize what your health pool is, realize how much damage you are capable of dealing out. Going back to base to heal is often much faster than waiting by a healing station, since the regen on a healing station is pretty slow. It is worth going back to heal compared to you staying in the lane and possibly dying. Anyway, those are my basic tips for Meltdown and for Battleborn. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.